Got any plans after this? You stare into space. I wish our assignments were more exciting. How? We could have done something creative. We could have made a presentation. I don't know. He shrugged. Could have done something creative. Maybe a college representing the best parts. Maybe a collage representing the best parts of our vacation. Yeah, it'd be cool to do something other than just another worksheet, like a paper of how what we learned at school will help us in the future. If nothing you've learned in the past what if nothing you've learned in the past year applies to your future life? That is very, very true. I think it's hilarious to think about half the shit that you learn in school. You absolutely do not need to for me, what, how is learning how to calculate the area of a half triangle going to help me learn how to, animate something? I think that's very interesting to think about. What if nothing you learned... Yeah, I already read that. What if nothing in the past year? Half the shit we learned in school really does not help us in the future. We're just learning to learn stuff, I guess. But then... Then, they should teach us different things. They should teach us different things. Oh, that's my dad's car. Derek lifted a hand to wave, pushing the door open and heading towards the blue pickup truck waiting in the parking lot.
Talk to you later.
See you later, Irene. Bye, Cove. You watch Derek jog off before scanning the area for your mom. Did you get everything done? You got lost in your thoughts. Did you get everything done? Yeah. I've only got to get some thicker paper to draw the final draft on. I saw you're done. He smiled, impressed. You felt really good about that. I feel like I'll need to come back to the library again before summer's over. Even if your assigned work was done, you might have to double check something, or do presentation for the start of the year. I'll come with you. I still have stuff I can do. You better. I'm not going alone. He chuckled. Let's do something when we get back. Maybe the beach? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He was always easy to please that way. The two of you smiled at each other. Cove looked away for a second, and so did you, fidgeting with the hem of your shirt. It wasn't long before you spied your mom's car coming down the road. There she is. Alright. Time to go then. You climbed into the car, sliding into your usual seats and buckling the belts. Hey kiddos, did you get a lot done? I'm done.
Nice.
Amazing. You hear the car shifted into action, and you watched as the library shrunk into the distance. It wouldn't be the last time you saw it this summer. Even better, you were going to have good company with you. You were already counting down the days. You chatted easily with Mom about the day while you juggled a conversation with Cove. When she learned you two were planning on returning, she immediately offered to give you a ride next time. You You continued to answer Mom's questions about what you've been working on, then told her about your plans to stick with Cove after getting back. There was something there was something knowing in her smile that made you pause, just for a moment. But soon enough, the trip was over. You had already arrived back to your neighborhood. Cove had run over to his house real quick to drop off his stuff. You also made a pit stop to put your backpack away before heading out again. The two of you regrouped in the middle of the road, halfway between your houses. With everything wrapped up, you could now freely enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Your conversation resumed as you both began walking down the street together. The afternoon came and went, dinner was eaten, and you were cleaning up the dishes left behind from it. Cove had elected to stay for the meal today. He passed you a couple of plates to rinse in the sink, even though he didn't have to. Cove asked to do at least something to help. You scrubbed the last of them and let out a satisfied sigh. Okay, they're done. I'm going upstairs now. You addressed your guests for the evening. You wanna come? Yeah, I don't have to go back till later. Take it easy, kids. Thank you for the help. When you got back to your room, you noticed your backpack from earlier. You figured it would be best to unpack the stuff you needed before going to bed. Cove plopped onto your desk chair and spun it around a bit as he got comfortable. He watched you contentedly as you walked across the room. He didn't need or expect you to try entertaining him constantly. It was just nice to be near each other, even when nothing was going on. You hefted your bag up onto the bed. It sunk into the comforter. With that, you started to sort through the books and paper packets. Not all of it were things you'd need anytime soon. A small pile of the most important assets began to grow at the side of your backpack until you had gone over it all. You had actually finished flipping through the contents, but that wasn't all of your work. You instinctively pulled the opening closer to you and peered inside. A second look through commenced, and then a third, and you began to open the smaller packets. You were missing your history assignment. God damn it. I would never, well, actually, I was gonna say I would never do something like that, but then that would be a lie, because I think I have done something like that before. Wouldn't, actually, yeah. Especially when you're in a rush, god dang it. By this point, Cove could tell something was wrong. You had spent the better half of today completely finishing it, and now it was gone. It hadn't been that noteworthy before, but the bag wasn't really zipped when you had first begun to look through it. The work could have fallen out somewhere if you had it in the first place. Oh god. I feel like I would panic. Yeah, especially if you spent the entire day freaking working on it and then you lost it. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm not a person for wanting to do things again the second time after already doing it. Like, especially if it's an assignment that I worked on literally all day. I feel that. I feel like, yeah, my stress levels. panic and stress levels would probably shoot all the way up. Started to panic. The assignment could be anywhere, and you are never going to get it back. It's gone, and now you're gonna have to replace everything you did for it. My history work isn't in my backpack. At your words, Cove jumped up out of his seat. Oh crap! Is there somewhere we can look? The bag was kind of open, so he went sympathetically. That left a lot of options for where it might be. Most of them bad. He made a sudden bolt for the other side of your room, and you started to scour the spot the backpack was originally left in. Speed run. With nothing in sight, there, you expanded the search to the rest of the space. Cove did his best to stay out of your way while keeping an eye open for your missing work. It was frantic and ultimately fruitless effort. Your assignment wasn't there. Let's check downstairs. It might still be in your house someplace. Fine.
How are you?
Why, hello again. Is everything alright? Of course I'm gonna tell her. Oh, you answer her in a raised voice. We're not gonna yell. We're just gonna casually tell her what's going on. Or rambly. Actually, we're kind of in panic mode, so I feel like it'd be rambly. Yeah. No, I did, but when I was getting it, it wasn't there. I don't know, and I don't know. What? Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's accurate. You were rambly. Yeah, no, it was. I had it. I did it, but when I was getting it out, it wasn't there, and I don't know. Yeah, that's accurate. And then just the what after that. My schoolwork is missing. This was definitely getting to you. You have things that you want to do, that you need to do, and instead, you have to worry about this.
I'm so sorry.
Sweetie, I'm so sorry. What's missing? An assignment for school from the library today. Mom's eyebrows raised with concern at that answer. That's a pickle. I'll call right now. They might still be open. Thanks, Mom. You're welcome. Just leave it to me. Cove, honey, can you tell us if there's anything you noticed? You were with Irene, right? I saw the assignment when Irene had it out the library. I don't remember her putting it away. I'm pretty positive there was nothing left on the table when we were done. He spoke resolutely. Before now, he hadn't considered that something might have been left behind. You had felt the same. You had felt the same. Eyeballs? Eyeballs are not eyeballing. You had felt the same when leaving, though it was hard not to second guess things now. Your mom re-entered the scene a few minutes later. The look on her face was not promising.
Well,
so I got a hold of one of the librarians. They don't have any papers with your name on them. Not that they could see anyway. I'm sorry. Oh shit. Okay. Thanks for trying. Okay. Well, say thanks for trying. Of course. Sorry it was a bust. It's not your fault. Irene, hey, let's go over to my house. I can check my bag. Maybe I took it when we were packing up and didn't notice. I feel like we're just slowly getting more dejected. This game's art is pretty nice. Oh my gosh, this game's art is really freaking nice. It's really pretty. It's really, really pretty. I like the characters. The characters so much. I like the characters so much. If I could live in a game, I'd probably want to live in this visual novel world as Irene, probably. Alright. You got the impression this wasn't just about another place to look. You were stressed over the situation here. He was trying to give you an out. Let's go. Cove nodded and made his way to the door. Your mom stood by with creased eyebrows. Take care, kids. Good luck. Bye, moms. You briskly made the trip across the street in less than a minute. You were going through the threshold of Cove's house. Cove had been in a rush earlier today, too. His backpack was tossed on the couch without a thought. No one had moved it since then. You can sit down, or anything. I'm gonna look. He lifted up the backpack and unzipped it in a fluid motion. You were left to wait as he rooted around inside with an unexpected level of seriousness. Are we still stressed? Are we gonna keep up the stress levels, or are we gonna calm down? I feel like I'd still be really freaking stressed, or at least like upset about it, because I really don't want to do an assignment again after like I've already done it, and especially if I like worked hard on it. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a no for me. So I feel like, yeah, there's no way you could relax right now. You leaned closer, trying to get a peek into what he was seeing. Every second of not knowing made you more tense. Your impatience didn't go unnoticed. He tore through the contents rapidly. Until Cole's eyes drifted from the opening of the bag and traced the length of the room's floor. His arms were still tucked away inside, but the search was over. Your heart sank. It was obvious there wasn't much of a chance Cove somehow had it this whole time. Still, you wanted to hope. Finally, Cove lowered his backpack onto the floor while slipping his arm out, and he wasn't empty-handed. Cove extended a few papers your way.
Right.
Here. Your eyes flickered down at the assignment and then went right back up to his face. That's your copy. In the almost silent room, you could hear the light crinkling of papers as his fingers gripped tighter. His expression was just as firm. No, it's yours. Oh, he's trying to give us... Oh, that's so sweet. He's trying to give us his... Aw, okay. No. No. Thank you, Cove. I can't take that from you. I appreciate you want to help, but that's not okay. That's cheating. Are you sure? No, Cove, I can't take that from you. Why not? That assignment and grades, they're not important to you, and you know, that assignment and grades, they're important to you, and you know, you're important to me, so... My heart. Ah, my heart. He's so nice. He's so sweet, and... Oh my goodness. He's so nice and so sweet. It's just so cute. flatly drop the papers at your feet, refusing to meet your eyes. I think I did pretty good with it. The marks shouldn't be bad. It's okay. You don't have to give me your homework. There's so many good options. Okay. We're gonna save over the birthday party one. Because there's no need for me to go back to that. Happy with my decision to smack the shit out of Jeremy. Not Jeremy, Jeremy. Because he's disgusting. You thanked him for what he was trying to do. You hugged him. You insisted that he shouldn't go through with it. You're getting a hug, but I'm still not taking your freaking homework. It was my fault I lost it in the first place. Without another thought, you threw your arms over his shoulder, the papers scattered. After a second of stunned motionlessness, Cove returned the gesture and wrapped himself around you. You were teary-eyed, glued over the gesture. Okay, listen. I don't think I would cry. I don't think. I might be really stressed over losing it, but I don't. That's really fucking nice, though. Really sweet. So I might have maybe felt a little something about that. I don't know. I don't know. Co's consideration made you feel good. You felt terrible about all of this. About this all. You felt terrible about this all. Okay. Cove's consideration made you feel good. Blah. Even if the situation was still bad, you were touched on how much he cared for you. He didn't let you go. He didn't let you go as he began to speak again. Missing an assignment is something that doesn't bother me. I mean, you've known me long enough to see what does upset me. The statement had started out lighthearted, but it quickly shifted to one much more serious. You were always there. Okay. He leaned his head onto you affectionately. It made your heart pound against your chest. Then the moment was interrupted by the piercing ring of the Holden's home phone. You wordlessly stared at one another with raised brows. Cove's mouth formed a tiny frown. Kyra appeared from the hall on the far side of the living room, summoned by the noise. Cove robotically took his arms off of you, pinning them securely against his side. You don't know if she noticed or cared, but he was embarrassed. Hey Cove. Hi Irene. I didn't know you were here. She strode on past, your eyes followed her. Cove's mom answered the call, giving a chipper greeting to whoever was on the other end. A few uh-huhs and later, and Kyra thanked the person and placed the phone down once more. Irene! That was your mom. She said your stuff was in the car. What? Really? That's what I was told. Now, I'll just return to the guest room. You can have your privacy. face cycled from shock to sour as his mom made her escape laughing. He shook the interruption off and refocused on you. They've got it. You were so embarrassed. Actually, I think I'd just be so relieved. Yeah, I'd be pretty freaking relieved. You were so relieved. It was back. You had your own work, and that's what mattered. They've got it. Cove smiled crookedly and shrugged one shoulder. You should probably head to your house. Your moms might want to talk to you. Yeah, my parents really care about me. They had kept searching even after you left, and all because of that, it worked out. Cove nodded in agreement. Hey, Cove. Thanks for being here. He brightened up with sparkling eyes. Anytime, Irene. Anytime. My heart is full. Is very, very full with this game. While stepping towards the door, there was a thought in your head that you knew to be true. You're going to be there for one another when it came to the big things and with the small things. Okay, two more of the DLCs. Okay. Let's go. Okay, escapade. This has been on my mind. I've been really wondering what the heck this was about. What does it mean, escapade? Escapade? Escapade. Escapade. I really wonder what this is about, but I guess we're gonna find out. You looked up, noticing the sun was finally setting. You had been trying to delay the end of the day for as long as possible. The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on the fresh watermelon slices. The snack made you happy. Because watermelon was a summer tradition. You weren't even sure why you were eating it. The snack made you happy. You picked up another slice, even though you had already had dinner. You were still delighted to make room for watermelon. You turned to look at Cove. You both had been sitting in comfortable silence for a while. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. He was happily absorbed in his thought and his own slice of watermelon. Chuckling, you watched his face twisted in discomfort. He had to stop chewing and spit a seed into the bush. I bet I could spit a seed farther than you. Immediately, you shoved the majority of what was left of your watermelon slice into your mouth, just to get a seed to prove your point. As soon as you could, you sent the seed sailing into the middle of the street. Did you see that? Did you see that, Cove? Cove burst into laughter. That slowed into a wide grin. You can tell he was equally part surprised and impressed. Can you do that again? I didn't see where it landed. Of course I can. You popped another seed into your mouth and focused on where the last one landed. Setting the seed free, you got it to go even further this time. Not bad. Not bad. You had Cove chuckling again. It was taking a lot of focus to stay looking serious and not break into laughter yourself. I'd like to see you try. I will. Cove took a mouthful of watermelon, his face grimacing when he had the seed. Then his expression morphed into a focused look, and he sent the seed flying, landing in a similar spot to yours. Wait, you got to do 2. I need another. Wait, you got to do 2. I need another try. He spoke before you could even comment on his non-victory. His determination got you laughing. He quickly sent another closer to where your second one landed. Seems like we're matched for now. Yeah, for now. For the next several minutes, you both kept carving seeds from your slices and giggling at the ridiculousness of the competition. Eventually, a truce was called, and you both went back to eating the neglected watermelon flesh. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one. That one's your 3rd already. Is that bad? Is that bad? It tastes really good. You bumped him with your shoulder. Unable to resist, you knocked the mostly finished slice out of his hand. You smiled at him. No, it's alright. That's definitely bad. You sighed affectionately. I don't know. This isn't definitely... You smiled at him. Cove matched your expression, and he held his watermelon rind up against his mouth. It gave him the appearance of an even wider smile. He was so cute. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his current slice down on the plate next to him. Are you okay? Yeah. He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice anything? What do you mean? I thought I felt a raindrop. The sun's still out. You put down your watermelon slice and hopped off your front step. Immediately, you felt the tap of water on the crown of your head, making you yelp. You're right! Oh, it is raining. Cove was still staring up at the sky, and you watched as he began blinking more rapidly. When he turned in your direction, his face was bemused. It's a sun shower. It seemed crazy, but soon you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into a light shower. Moving with laughter, Cove kicked his shoes towards his front door and reveled in the moment. I like the rain. You were excited. You closed your eyes and threw your head back, letting the rain shower over you. The cool drops felt so right after the warmth of the day. Feeling energized, he ran over Cove and laughed at how soaked he already was. Not that he cared, because he was busy spinning in the middle of the street. Spin faster. He complied. It was only when Cove started to slip and his laughter turned into hiccups that he dizzily stopped. Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped. It left you dripping with the smell of wet. It left you dripping with the smell. It stopped and left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil tickling your nose. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair. And, oh, that's really cool. You can actually see the wetness on his... Okay, anyway. Details. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair, combing it back. He frowned. It's over. The drops of rain clinging to his face almost could have been mistaken for tears. He sounded that disappointed. Well, it was fun. I wish it lasted longer. Even just for a few more minutes. And then a few more on top of that. He looked at you with such enthusiasm that you couldn't help but chuckle. And you looked over at your door inside. You knew Mom wasn't going to be happy seeing you trail water into the house. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing because he watched you sympathetically.
It's okay.
You can dry off at my house if you want. My parents won't mind. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Thanks. Let's do that. You're the sweetest guy I know. I don't want to cause trouble. I'm fine. Thanks. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah? Okay. The whole demeanor brightened. You figured he must have felt relieved to help you avoid getting into any trouble. Cove led you inside and you stayed close to him. We have a ton of spare towels. I just gotta dig them out of the hall closet. Thank you for doing this. What should I do? I think I'm gonna need to borrow some clothes from you too. We're just gonna say thank you.
You're welcome.
No problem. It'll only be a second. Just hang out in the living room. But maybe don't sit on the couch. You answered him with a slight smile. Okay. With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time. Towels in hand. Here. Thanks. You accepted one and began to pat yourself down. A sudden call caught both of your attentions. I thought I heard voices. Cove's mom strode into the living room with a curious grin.
Huh?
What happened here? You're both wet. There was a sun shower. Badass. I love Kyra so much. Cove smiled back at his parents. We came inside to dry off. My moms wouldn't want me going into my house when I'm wet.
Right.
So I told Irene to come back here. It was very sweet of you, baby. He ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed at the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came to Kyra's eyes.
What do you think?
I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to beat standing around the house, and you'll air dry in no time. Cove only offered a shrug and a bent smile to his mom, and he looked to you for a real answer. Of freaking course. Yeah, let's do it. Fun. This will be good. Kara pulled herself out of her pocket to make a call to your mom. They had swapped numbers early in the summer.
See you soon.
Head out to the garage. I'll meet you there in just a minute. Sorry, my mom can be so pushy. She gets an idea in her head and that's what she does. That's okay. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't do anything. That wasn't true. But you let him get away with that. Come on. Cove led you to the car and Kyra wasn't too far behind. Okay, into the back, you two. Once the three of you were situated inside, Kyra started it and drove out of the residential area. When she hit the main road, the car sped up and she rolled the back windows down all the way. Hey! Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes. Eyes too much. Meanwhile, you close your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes. I said this drive was going to be good for getting air dried. Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration. You disabled the back? Sorry, can't hear you. Smiling deviously, Kyra turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind. You laughed and enjoyed the event. You yelled into the wind and burst into laughter. Looking over at Cove, you saw him relax. He seemed glad that you were having fun. Oh goodness. Oh no. And then something struck the side of your legs. Several papers freed from under the car seats were blown about. Oh, they can't go out the windows. Go begin to. Oh no. Go begin to haphazardly reach around the space to try and get it all back under wraps. Amused, you helped. You helped frantically. You watched him struggle, entertained. I think we helped frantically. You jumped to his aid immediately, trying to snatch up every single piece of paper, crashing about within your reach. As much as you both caught fisticuffs, there was no stopping a few that stuck out of the window. Cove gasped, "Mom, close the windows!" Kyra offered no response other than a chuckle. She kept driving. The both of you had sour looks at that. We almost got we got most of them. I know that. Thanks. The sun set completely. And Kara rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper he had balled in his fist. My mom is crazy. He ran a hand through his wind-blown hair and laughed with a bit of exasperation. You felt good. The evening had turned out to be more interesting than you expected. Grinning, you were happy with your odds and with whatever else happened next. Cove watched you with interest until his focus was taken away by a comment with his mom. I bet you're not feeling damp anymore. No, but now I feel tricked. I'm not siding with either of them, but I would just say yeah. I'm not siding with either of those, but we're gonna stay quiet. You shook your head and looked out the window. Kara continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows, and everyone was sitting more comfortably. Kara lowered the sound even more after pulling to a red light. She took the chance to turn around. You caught her coy smirk. Does anyone know what we drove past during the dry cycle? I'm not sure. I'm I'm not sure I want to. A movie theater. Okay. Most places have one somewhere. It isn't that late, you know. You can probably still catch a show. Really? Really? Mom? We don't even know what would be playing. That's what makes it fun. You know what? Let's do it. Heck yeah. I'm not sure about that. I want to see a movie. Heck yeah. Both of you? He seemed hesitant, but you gave him a smile. And Cove eased up a bit. Aw, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating impulsive behavior every day. But it's important to seize the moment when you can. We might never have another night like this. And don't worry, Irene. I said I'd watch over you for the night. Not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there. I didn't bring any shoes. I'm not wearing any either. I'm not wearing any either. Go through your foot up and wiggle your toes so that Cove can see. How are we gonna go inside barefoot? It doesn't matter. We can't. I don't know. We'll sneak through. We'll sneak through quick. No one will notice. You can do it. Just this one. Oh, bet. This is so much fun. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I feel like me and somebody would probably engage in this kind of impulsive, sneaky behavior. It's fun. It's really fun. I love this. I would love to do this in real life. We'd probably get caught because there's no way you could not notice when somebody is not wearing shoes. You bounced in your seat excitedly, but it was actually going to happen. Kyra was right. You never got to do stuff like this. Kyra drove into the theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With the unbuckling of her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out. Despite being hesitant to leave, once outside, Cove burst into a sprint towards the cinema. You were right along with him. The tarmac was still wet from before and cold to stand on with bare feet. Inside, you noticed that there was no lines. All the current shows had already started. Kyra paid that no mind and strode up to the counter with some words of encouragement. A third of the running time is ads these days. No, for real, that's so true. We haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Cove stood next to you awkwardly. He shifted from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking around. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught than Sanding would have. If there were people around to really notice. It was pretty goofy. Still, you consoled him. You poked Cove's arm to get his attention. If only they sold the shoes at the concession stand. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, that would be too convenient, but we'll get through it. His expression softened into a pleased smile. Electing a sigh of relief out of you, Kyra returned with the tickets in hand. She quickly hurdled you and Cove towards the showing room. I'm so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on. We almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing. The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing.
Aha!
Yes! Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Kara couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Kara pointed to the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded, and you decided to give her a thumbs up, and she led the way. When you reached your seats, Kara sighed contentedly. Cove gave a sigh of his own and looked at his feet sit crisscross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. He leaned over and whispered to you, "Do you have any idea what the movie is?" "No, I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets." Oh boy. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you quickly that it was a horror film. One group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts. Oh boy. Should we act like this scared little person, or should we be like, I love horror movies? Well, some horror movies I just cannot watch. But if it was anything like Scream, maybe, oh heck yeah, I'm down. But does Scream actually count as a movie? Scream, maybe something Chucky, Megan, any movies that are kind of like horror, but a little bit of like not actually horror, but like something with like mild jump scares was probably. By mild, I mean like mild. You could live with that. You thought this was annoying. You became nervous. You were terrified. You couldn't do this. You had to leave. You could live with that. You were psyched. You could live with that. Oh, I hope. Well, if we're not scared, does that mean Cove is gonna be scared? Can we be the one, like, holding hands? Going in, you weren't sure what to expect, but this was a fantastic surprise. You hope this turned out to be good and scary. Glancing over at Cove, he looked less than thrilled with the movie. He bit down on his bottom lip and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Oh, baby. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts or intentionally frightening things. This is me. That was something you learned about him early on. You covered your ears. Yeah, no, we're gonna hold hands. It's okay. Your fingers wrapped tight around his, and he jumped slightly at the unexpected touch. But his expression softened when he peeked at you through the corner of his eyes. He gave your hand a squeeze to silently voice support that made you feel good. Sometimes the other people in the theater screamed, jeered, or clapped depending on what was happening. Your heart was pounding in your chest when the movie finally came to an end. The main character resolved the hauntings, but in a dark conclusion, they didn't make it out alive. You stayed to let the credits roll and for the theater to clear out. Then it was time to head back to the car. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again. Even though it was late. Kyra was was extruding an upbeat, cheerful energy. What a great flick.
I guess.
It wasn't so bad in the end. You enjoyed it, baby? No, I mean, it's hard to explain. I got really tense, and I guess that's the point of horror stuff. But I kind of don't want to have to feel like that. Now that it's over, though, it's sort of kind of cool to do.
Fantastic.
That's so great. Irene, how are you feeling? It was alright. You shrugged. It was awesome. It was terrible. But that made it fun. It was awesome. Kyra responded that. I still can't believe they died. It's nice when things aren't all obvious and you don't really know how in until you see it, but I wanted it to go better. I loved how it all fell apart when things seemed like they were going to be okay. Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Cove said it. I thought Kyra said that. It was so lame. I demand a happier ending. Yeah. You and Cove spent the rest of the car ride absorbing conversation about the movie. So, who's hungry? You were surprised when you realized that Kyra didn't drive you home, but to a drive-through burger restaurant instead. Heck yeah. We're gonna keep this night going as long as we can. Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, that's the spirit. Get whatever you want. Ooh. I'm gonna get a... Ooh. Ah, okay. These options are really making me hungry now. I'm gonna get a cheeseburger, French fries, milkshake, ooh, and chocolate chip cookie. That was everything. Is that alright?
Of course.
It's a-okay. Cove was tickled by the size of your list and had no disapproval over it. Kyra pulled up to the window and ordered what you asked for first. She then decided to order one of everything on the value menu. Whoa, what are you gonna do with all of that? Eat it. The whole menu? Even after Irene picked most of that already? That's right. There are only maybe 10 things on it. And they're about $1 each. I can swing it. And besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm gonna feed to your dad. He'll be in heaven. Cove sighed affectionately at his mother's antics. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're quite welcome. A few minutes later, Kyra exchanged her money for multiple bags of food, which she quickly tossed to you both in the back seat, and she then drove off into the night. Can you pass me something? What should I grab? Surprise me. You choose one of the wrap sandwiches and hand it to her. You had no idea if it was a burger or something else. Thanks very much. Accepting that this was happening, Cove shrugged and started pulling out food out of the bags for himself. Cove ended up with some onion rings that he happily munched on them. Should we just pick up something randomly? Or... Nah, I don't like onion rings, so I'm not gonna eat that shit. I made something to grab something you liked. You weren't even questioning Kyra's crazy ride anymore. The adventure continued, and you were so preoccupied in the back, you almost didn't realize the car had stopped. Kyra turned to look at you over the shoulder. Okay, party people, it seems like we reached the end of the road. Confused as you checked out the window, you saw nothing except for road ahead. And then you notice the now leaving sign. Kara took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kara turned the car around and parked it along the side of the road. I think you both use a break to stretch your legs, and I doubt anyone's coming through this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so come on. Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight. You followed Cove. You got out and caught up to Cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms as he rolled around. You thought being out here was exciting. You were delighted with the wide open sky above, and the unobstructed view of the landscape around. It was freeing. It's amazing that we're all the way out here. Cove smiled, glancing from the stars to you. Shortly after, you noticed Cove's expression changed. His eyebrows furrowed. It seemed like he was thinking hard about what he wanted to say next.
So sorry.
Irene, I'm really sorry for my mom being crazy tonight. She isn't always like that, seriously. You mean she doesn't kidnap neighbors all the time? Cove snorted briefly before becoming serious once more. I think she feels like she has to get out there and do things with me while she can. And she wants to make the time memorable. This visit has been really different than the others. And it didn't start off good. Thinking about how Kara's trip began this summer, you could understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all the trouble to be worth it in the end. Okay, I get it. She shouldn't have made me a part of it. Oh, you don't understand. She's giving you a taste of your own medicine. Are you having a good time with your mom around? Yeah, it's still weird. Having her and Dad in the same house. But I love her. She's my mom. I like hanging out with her most of the time. It went silent between the two of you, so you jumped when you heard the sound of the car door closing. Cove, Irene! You turned to see Kyra by the driver's side waving. The sight brought a smile to Cove's face, and she quickly made her way over to where you both were standing. Thanks for waiting. I don't mind.
My baby.
How did I end up with such a polite boy? She ruffled Cove's hair, and Cove lowered his head, accepting the compliment. He thought about how interesting it was to see how Cove interacted with his mom. And the memory hit you. That first summer, Cove ran away to this very spot, trying to find his way back to his mom. And now, here they were, together. You wish I got the code. You get up closer, you leaned in close to share the moment with him. Isn't it strange your mom took us here? This is where you went to try to see her. Want to try seeing her when you moved to Sunset Bird. Cove flipped his eyes started with his mom, worried that she heard. But he was satisfied she didn't and turned back. Yeah, it's weird. But she doesn't know what happened. At least I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Really? Dad likes to tell her things are fine, so she doesn't worry. You nodded and kept a secret. Cove looked at you gratefully, and you shared a conspiratory smile. Anyway, it's kind of cool to be here, right on the edge of town. Exactly. We're standing on a Precipi... Kill? Precipi... What? Precipi... It's not coal. Something. Whatever. I'm moving on. I think so too. Blech. I really don't see what's so different about it. You didn't have a strong opinion about it. I think so too. I knew you would get it. It's good to appreciate these times and places. Kara let out a breath of air. We should probably call it a night, huh? You felt disappointed it was actually over. You kind of hoped another unexpected thing would pop up to keep things going. Kara shyly smiled and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Cove naturally followed you, taking the seat nearby in the back with the collection of fast food bags still strewed about. You rested your head onto the seat as the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in close to whisper. I could talk to your I could talk to your moms if they do get mad about tonight for some reason. It was my mom's idea. You didn't have a choice. Thank you. I'm glad we're heading back now. It was worth it, even if they get mad. You nodded. It was worth it, even if they get mad. Your mouth pulled into the biggest grin, getting a laugh out of Cove. If you say so. Cove smiled bashfully at you, and said nothing else. The drive home was smooth and uneventful. The radio was off completely, and you felt your eyelids getting heavy. Okay, if you're gonna give me the option, I'm going to take the option of you rested your head came to rest in Cove. You were too tired to keep your head up and let it guide comfortably there. Cove didn't have any issues there. He leaned into it. Oh, cute. You must have been exhausted too. You were happy to stay close like this. It was warm and comfortable. When you opened your eyes, you expected to still be in the car, not your bedroom. It was somehow already morning. You couldn't remember how you ended up there. Sitting in bed, you thought about how last night was quite an experience. It was almost like a dream more than a real event, but it definitely happened. And you were glad that you got to have a spontaneous escapade in this summer. Escapade. Oh, I said escapade. Oh no. It's freaking escapade. Oh, I feel dumb. I said escapade. Oh no. I'm so confident that was it. The change if I don't have dyslexia. Oh my goodness. So basically, we're doing whatever. Okay, whatever struck your fancy, and now you're recharging with lunch. With nothing on the horizon, you are free to spend as much or as little time on your plate as you wanted. It was while you were thinking on all the possibilities for your afternoon that your mom's approached you.
Hi.
Hi, Irene. You okay? Mouth full, you nodded in reply. To your surprise, they both sat with you at the table. Based on the time, you had wondered if they were joining you for a meal, but neither of them brought anything.
Alright.
Great. We wanted to have a little chat with you. Qualbar Little did nothing to downplay the situation. You're chewing slowed as your eyes widen, looking from one pair to the other. Anything that required both of them to talk to you must be something big. It was unsettling. You perked up, your mind full of exciting possibilities. A vacation, maybe? A pet? Or a pet? A revelation that they actually became undercover agents? You leaned in, eager to learn more. There's a soiree at the Cypress tomorrow night. Your mom and I are going. The Cypress was the country clubs your moms were part of and where Elizabeth played golf. It seemed like every other month they had some event or another with all fancy names like soiree. You nodded eagerly, anxious for Mom to get to the good stuff. Mom chuckled at your poorly concealed reaction. Leaning in, Mom took your hand to squeeze it. We decided to make the night a bit special. Elizabeth's going to be allowed to stay home fully alone for the first time. You'll still be coming to the party with us. It's Elizabeth's night to party with no family around. No family around. Not yours. Sorry. You're gonna have to wait a couple more years. Oh, so you're just dragging me out to a really fancy party. Alright, I can go. Your mom's beamed at you. I'm glad you're so understanding. And don't worry, we're not leaving you out. We want you to have a special night too. Intrigued, you grinned at your moms and listened. Your parents should have looked across the table and you cleared your throat, reminding them that you were waiting. They couldn't keep dropping such hints, and then turned coy when the conversation was about to get good. Since it's a pretty fancy party that is still chaperoned, attendees are allowed to bring guests. We thought it'd be a nice opportunity to invite someone yourself as a date, if you want. Absolutely. Shut up. Don't say anything more. Don't say anything more. You had me at invite +1. Your eyes widened and the words sunk in. Your mom took advantage of your uncharacteristic silence to continue filling you in on the event. Even though we'll be at the party too, you don't need to worry about us getting in your way. You'll be free to chat, dance, and enjoy the music as you see fit. But no leaving the property. Mom nodded at Mom's interjection. Yes, as long as you don't leave the party, and if you rather bring just a friend, that's okay. That's a-okay too. How disappointing. You didn't even know how to react. That's amazing. You must have lit up because your parents shared an amused look again.
Don't worry about it.
The story isn't tomorrow, so you've got time. Just let us know your plans before heading out. That's all. We'll leave you to your lunch now. Your mom arose from your chair in unison, disappearing to another part of the house. You barely noticed their departure. All you can think of was what just happened. The reluctance of your lunch stared at you from your plate. You felt that you should finish eating. The conversation had taken your mind off the meal, but you opted to try to eat a little more. You picked at the plate for a while longer. Even though you relocated to your bedroom, your head was stuck on the conversation that had unfolded at the dining table downstairs. You knew that. You wanted it to be a date. The prospect of having your first date made it impossible to sit still. You couldn't help but jiggle your foot as you laid on your bed, contemplating the possibility. The night being a date would mean actually asking someone out. The little you knew of that came from what you'd seen on TV and movies, and what you heard about from kids at school. Your moms hadn't even entertained the idea of you dating until now. You went over the possible words and phrases in your head, setting up scenarios and smooth before tearing them down and trying something else. Oh boy. You realize that you've been mentally scripting Cove as the one you were asking. It had been his name repeating inside your mind, his face lighting up as you invited him to join. You buried your face in your pillow. You smiled, closing your eyes with a daydream crystallizing in your head. Let your train of thought continue a little longer. You clearly pictured his eyes, the way he rubbed his arms when he was nervous, and tried your best to guess what he might do next. He was nice. You liked him. You'd always liked him. A lot. You wouldn't be able to stop thinking of him when, even if you wanted to, and you didn't. Sighing, you shifted position on the bed, resting your arms on the windowsill. A flock of birds caught your eye and led your gaze as they crossed the sky. You watched the birds grow smaller and less distinct as they disappeared from sight. Like the snap of a hypnotist's fingers, you were released from the trance and left with a goal of your own. You were going to have to take a walk. You amped through the familiar streets of your neighborhood, picking your path at a whim. It was as quiet as ever, with tourists choosing to congregate in the shopping area near the beach rather than venture into the sleepy residential zones. You continued on the road and soon found yourself at the shore. The fresh, salty air hit you first, rolling to meet you over the grassy dunes that tickled your legs. Followed by the familiar view of the sea stretching out across the horizon, you came to a halt. A lone figure was standing in the ocean, the water reaching up to his knees. Though he had his back to you, you recognized that the familiar silhouette as Cove's. It made sense you'd find him here. He was always in his element by the sea. You had no idea if he heard your arrival or if it was a coincidence, but he looked over your shoulder and your eyes met. You waved up. You called out. Cove, here! In your excitement, you missed a few words. You tried to not let your internal panic show. Cove smiled at you, bathed in the soft light of the afternoon sun. His hair gently touched his hair gently tousled by the sea breeze. He looked especially charming. When he then fully turned around and began to wade through the water over to the shore. You hoped he took his time to come over. You were nervous about this. Instead of standing by the shore, you felt like you were on the edge of a cliff. The question of whether to invite him, and if so, in what fashion, was in front of you, leaping into a world unknown or enjoying the safety of the familiar.
Irene.
Got me so off guard. That got me so off guard. I don't know what I was expecting, but that was it. Excuse me? Hey Irene, are you free right now? Not exactly. My moms are taking me to a soiree tomorrow at the country club. You winced at your abrupt transition to the topic and hoped Cove didn't mind. He'd been known to dive into a new and unconnected topics in the middle of a conversation after all. A soiree, huh? Sounds exciting? He was smiling politely, but you could tell that your outing mention hadn't sparked much interest. Your heart, which lodged itself somewhere in your throat, when you'd spotted him, dropped. You stared at him, weighing your options. Cove tilted his head curiously as you fumbled with what you were trying to say. Who better to invite on your first real date than Cove? The person who could make you giddy with just a smile? But you were afraid he'd think it was boring, or worse, wouldn't want to go with you as a date. There we go. Closing your clammy fist, you swallowed and tried to conjure up the right words. Cove continued to watch you expectingly. Maybe I shouldn't have. Okay, if it goes bad, I mean, we could always pretend like I didn't go down this path. It might have been easier to do this right now if he was wearing something other than a swimsuit. Irene? Do you want to go out on a date with me? Cove, I want you to be my date for the party. My parents said it'd be alright if I brought a date. Would you go to the party with me as a practice date? Oh boy. Oh boy. This is as awkward as I'll be in real life. Do you want to go on a date with me? Okay, save. We have to save. We have to save. Okay, okay, we're gonna go with this one. The words stumbled out of your mouth. It was a miracle. They were all in the right order. Caught off guard, he lifted his hands in front of his chest out of surprise. Then he panicked. Then down across over his chest. He twisted his face to the side, no longer able to meet your eyes. He still couldn't hide the flush on his cheeks.
Oh my god.
Are you serious? Oh, maybe? Maybe. Hey, finger guns? Maybe. Maybe. Okay. I'm only serious if you want to go like that. Yes, it would be great if you gave me an answer. His lips were pressed tightly together, preventing any more words from slipping out. You could tell that he was nervous, but that was easy to pick up on with him. After another moment, he inclined his head, dipping it in a nod, so that you might have missed it had you been able to tear your eyes from him. You would exhale deeply. Really? Thank you. You're welcome. You exhaled deeply. Cove's closed eyes tapped in an awkward pose. He was gripping his arms so tight that the skin around his knuckles were fully... We just say that they're white. He was, flexing his knuckles so hard that they turned white. Okay. Have you stopped breathing? Cove exhaled at last, letting out a sigh that stretched to another tense silence. His stance loosened, his arms stayed crossed over his chest, but he was no longer clutching them like a shield. You didn't want to be the one to break the quiet. Thanks, Irene. I guess I'm going to have to tell my dad and my mom too. Right. I gotta let my mom know you're going. Can you come with me? Yeah. It was a relief that he thawed enough to manage speech again. You hoped that by the time you got to your house, he'd be able to manage full sentences once more. Cove went to where he discarded his things in the sand, tugging a shirt over his head and slipping on a pair of shoes before joining you and setting off home. The two of you stepped inside the front door of your house. It was an action you'd taken together countless times, but your stomach still turned but your stomach had never turned quite like this on previous occasions. The sound of the door opening, your mom poked her head into the hall.
Hello.
Hello. Cove, it's you. What a surprise. She chuckled at her own joke. Cove was always there, and she knew how close the two of you were. Bringing anyone other than him back would have been an actual surprise. Hi, Miss Jacqueline. It's nice to see you. So I take it Cove's going to be our guest for tomorrow night? Yep, yeah, he's the lucky guy. And what kind of outing will it be? Her voice was hesitant, but serious. Cove ducked his head down reflexively. He knew that he'd figure out what she was driving at. You know what it is. It's a date. What does it look like? You couldn't bring yourself to speak. It's a date. Your mom nodded in understanding. She wore a wispy smile. Ma's gonna be thrilled about this. Cove tilted his head back up just slightly and peeked through the longer strands of hair. Just her, Miss Jacqueline? Even though you'd not been able to see his wide, worried eyes, you had heard the anxiety in his voice. Your mom sighed and patted him on the arm. Oh, Cove, you're a great kid. Most parents hope their kid meets such a special... Most parents hope that their kid meets such a special person someday. She glanced aside, a weary expression on her face. Someday is the real key word there. She turned back to you both. But you both had to move in right across the street at 8 years old. Mom crouched down, shaking her head, putting a hand on each of Cove's shoulders. Okay. I love our moms in this story. Oh my goodness. Cove, I hope you're planning on being very good to Irene. And I'm not just talking about tomorrow night. She nudged him playfully on the cheek with a fist. Cove, who had been blushing when all this began, was now red as a heirloom tomato. Okay, yeah, I was, or Bill? Stop embarrassing me. You don't have to worry. Cove's gonna be good to me. Stop embarrassing me. You're making him uncomfortable. Please, stop embarrassing me. You covered your eyes with your hands, wishing it had been Ma down here when you come home. Then again, Ma would have been just as embarrassing, but in a different way. She might have even cried. He didn't speak further. His eyes locked down on the shuffling feet as he rubbed the scar on his arm. Redness remained intact. Okay, I put Cove through the ringer enough. The big day isn't even here yet. You wondered if that meant she intended to give a repeat of this performance tomorrow. You were too afraid to find out. I'll give your folks a call and get everything squared away. She headed off to get the phone, leaving the two of you alone. Cove's eyes darted to you, and he shot you a quick, delicate smile before staring at the ground again. I'm gonna go across the street. Talk to my parents. Alright, see you tomorrow. Bye, Cove. You retreated from your home's entryway without another word. The rest of your afternoon passed just like that. Back in your room, your mind was alight with visions of tomorrow night. The story was something, but not nearly as exciting as going on your first date. You were thrilled that Cove had actually said yes. That he was your genuine date to a party. You hugged your knees to your chest, overawed by the thought. The night couldn't come soon enough. The evening of the soiree had arrived, daylight hours having slipped away in a blur. Up in your bedroom, you were getting ready for the big event. That was your intention, at least, but you hadn't settled on an outfit. You stationed in front of your wardrobe, you scanned over the clothing you had at your disposal. Though Ma had mentioned that this event was a bit dressier than a normal get-together, you didn't necessarily have to comply. Look for something formal. You decided between nicer pieces in your wardrobe. Ones that really had a chance to come out. You decided to dress formally because you were dressing to impress. Yes, fashion was a competitive sport, just like a golf tournament. You might not walk out like a trophy. You might not walk out with a trophy in, but you still had every intention of winning. To start, you decided to wear a dress. Your pick was light and had sheen. The silky material seemed to guide through your fingers as you took it from the wardrobe. It was a perfect fit for a summer evening party. You began to get dressed, your fingers working in stiff zips and awkward fastenings. It felt different against your skin, reminding you with every movement that you were dressed up. Whatever happened tonight, you were pleased you had gotten into an opportunity to wear this. Now dressed, you gave yourself a final glance over before heading downstairs, ready to head out. You found your mom already waiting in the living room. They were putting the finishing touches on their outfits. Mom strapping her heel into a stiletto shoe, and Mom trying to fasten a bracelet single-handedly. Oh my god! Mothers! God dang! You look amazing, what? Oh, I love the dresses. I love this like little Shaw thing going on here with like the sparkles. And then I like the black lace. With almost kind of a little businessy with the what do you call this? A blazer? Not a blazer, like a cover-up jacket? They looked as you entered. Oh, Irene! You look so nice. Don't you think, Pam? Thanks for dressing up, Irene. I hope the party will be prepared for your arrival. You look sharp. Mom was still struggling with the bracelet. You lent a hand, literally, by taking one side and holding it as she secured the clasp. Thanks, kiddo. Mom glanced over at the clock on the wall, seeing where the hands were pointing, and a frown creased on her face. When's Cove going to be here? Do you know? Soon, probably. Mom pressed her lips and she stared at her hand by the ticking clock. Alright. If he's not here in 5, I'll give his house a call. Elizabeth headed downstairs, her eyes narrowed. You're still here? Yes, but not for much longer, hopefully. Wait, I know you're excited, but we haven't even said goodbye, and I want to go over how things are going to play out. Elizabeth sighed as Mom began listing the rules, ticking them off on her fingers. No ordering takeout or other deliveries. You can't have someone else come over. She nodded, resigning to her fate, listening to the set of rules she could predict without much of a glance at a crystal ball. If anything happens, you call us or go across the street to the Holdens. Keep the noise down. The house might be empty, but there are people all around the neighborhood. The usual house rules still apply. Don't do anything you wouldn't do if we were here. And we'll be back no later than 11:30 p.m. We'll call if there are any issues. So don't tap the phone line all night. Alright? All done? Can you go now? Mom strolled over and swept Elizabeth up in the hug. Your sister let out a small noise, her eyes widening and suddenly looked much less like the smug teenager she acted like. You're such a big girl now. I still can't believe it. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. This wasn't much of the quick departure that she had been hoping for. Any chance of it ending soon vanished as Mom joined the hug. Neither can I. It feels like it was only yesterday that... Elizabeth groaned, trying to cut the reminiscing off without success. Obviously you joined in the hug. Mom and Mom held their arms to you as you approached, welcoming you in the hug. Elizabeth whined, eager for this to come to an end already. Jeez. Can you all just go? Jeez. Your family disentangled from the hug in time to catch the doorbell ringing. Oop, the guest of honor is here. She raced over to the door as Mom predicted. Cove had arrived and he was ushered inside.
Nice.
You look very nice, Cove. Oh, he looks perfect. I love that for him. I like the black on black. That's okay. I was expecting like a suit, but this is really, really nice too. Wait, is there any way I can like get a full look at what's happening now? Okay, no. Alright. Oh, thanks. He looked around the room, searching for a way out of the conversation before his eyes met yours. Cute. Cove pulled his face into a smile as you reciprocated. As he reciprocated, the tension in his face faded away. You watched him taking your outfit, swallowing and grinning at you again. Hi, Irene. Cove. Fancy seeing you here. You look really nice tonight. I'm glad we got to do this. Going to a place dressed up, I mean. His words took you by surprise. It wasn't often that Cove commented on your appearance, but you were happy to accept the compliment. You attempted to control the grin spreading across your face. The small statement had made a big impact. You inspected his outfit in turn. You're looking good too. I wish I could say the same too. What is that you're wearing? You look wonderful. You look wonderful. Cove held his arms tight against his body, shielding himself for such a overt declaration of approval. Thank you. Now that Mom had finished reiterating the ruse to Elizabeth, who scurried off to the sanctity of her room, she came over to greet Cove. Hi, Cove. Nice to have you along for the ride. Thank you for letting me come.
You're welcome.
It's no trouble. You're always welcome. Mom's eyes rose and a twin of Lion's concern. Let's all remember that for the foreseeable future, we'll be neighbors who will have to see each other every day. Yeah. Cove looked helplessly at your mom. Luckily, Mom came over and rescued him. Mom's the cautious sort, sweetie. You don't have to look so you don't have to look so worried. Mom smiled reassuringly. She didn't intend to scare him. Mom laid a hand on her shoulder. We should get to the car. There's nothing fashionable about being late. As you made to follow your mom's, Cove held out a hand, pausing, you waited for an explanation. He wilted under the force of your attention, letting out a long sigh. Both my dad and my mom insisted that, since this is a... He paused, pushing the hair back from his burning face, and forced himself to continue. It's a date, and kind of a fancy party. I need to bring something for you for inviting me. The conclusion of the story caught you by surprise. You blinked, unsure if you slacked too much in your own preparations for tonight. You got me a present?
That's
Not really. Just this. Cove reached behind him to take something from the back pocket and turned it to view of holding a single small white poppy by the stem. Cove threw his gaze to the floor, shyly inching his hand closer to you. It's nice. My favorite. Cove audibly sighed in relief. You got the impression he had been stressing over the flower he chose. I wasn't positive, though I thought it would be. But you're so wonderful. He started out a weak laugh out of sheer anxiousness rather than humor.
I mean...
I'm not. You're the one who... No, I think you are. No, I think you are. Okay. You didn't have it to continue this conversation, even if that meant not being able to refute your assessment. Then you accepted the flower from him. Cove straightened himself out in response. We're gonna be late if we keep standing here. Right, we better hurry. He pulled up at the country club. The sun had sunk in deep into the horizon, the last of its light sheepishly warming the oncoming night. Your mom's led the way to the space around the back where the event was being held. The place had been transformed through decoration with smart tablecloths and elegant ribbons contributing to the festive atmosphere. Musicians dressed in matching black and white were setting up their instruments and flickering through pages of sheet music. And as promised, there was a table covered in plates of carefully prepared food. Destination reached, your parents rounded on you and Cove. Things haven't kicked off yet, but don't let that stop you from enjoying yourselves. Have fun! We'll be around if you need us. See you! Bye! Bye, moms! Bye! Cove waved your moms off. Once they retreated a distance away. Oh. You found him watching you expectantly. What now? It wasn't a question rather than a plea for help. You could tell that he definitely didn't know what to do with himself in this situation. We'll have to wait for some things to start, like the band and their stuff. But but there's stuff going on already. Cove perked up at that.
Really?
Oh? Do you want to do any of those? Whatever they are? You check the snacks at the refreshment table. We can go eat some food now, even if the music hasn't started yet. That's okay? Not too soon? Yep, I wonder what they'll have this time. Let's go find out. If you wandered over to the refreshment table, with it being early in the night, it had barely been touched, and the plates were nearly as pristine as they were when they'd left the kitchens. The offerings were all tiny and bite-sized, ready to be picked up and sampled. It was immediately apparent that there was plenty to choose from. Just from the level of care which it was presented, it was clear that this was fancy stuff. Cove stared at one plate and then another, confused.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think I know some of this. I don't. Gross. And only some of it is any good. This is good stuff. Is it? Yeah. He picked up one of the nearby morsels and presented it in front of Cove to observe. It looks like a slice of the world's smallest loaf of bread with stuff on top. It has to be it has to be small, so you've got room to try lots of different things. Cove's eyes were wide as you guided him through what was to offer. It made you feel sophisticated. Cove squared his shoulders as if gearing up for a match. His stance was familiar from all the times you've seen him preparing for some sporting event. I'm gonna try it. He picked up a plate and took it one appetizer and another. He soon realized that he was taking one of every single type. There's no prize for eating it all. You've only got to take the things you want. I don't know what I want, so I'm figuring it out. You joined him in sampling everything. You might be stuffed afterwards, but that was a problem for future self. Right now, you are going to enjoy the feast to the full. Cove nimbled his way through everything the Cypress had. As a result of his endeavors were mixed. He was revolted by some of the things he tried, only spinning up his face and rushing to find a drink to wash the taste away. Yet these bad experiences didn't stop him from moving on to the next snack with an open mind. True, some foods he was neutral about, dismissing them with a shrug, but best of all were his reactions when he stumbled across something good. Each time caught him by surprise, his expression morphing from curiosity to skeptical interest before making its way to astonished enjoyment. Regardless of how he felt about what he was currently eating, you could tell he was having a good time. Just being free to eat whatever. He laid his eyes on. Excuse me. You thought that was nice too. After going around through a round of sampling, you can continue munching on refreshments while waiting for the music. In no time at all, the sun had set in full, the lights faded, and the opening notes of the band's first song rang out. You and Cove stopped what you were doing, turning to contemplate the party had been steadily unfurling while you were distracted. It was much busier now, both in terms of people and activity. The first steps were taken onto the dance floor with some tentative, others eager. Even if the band hadn't been playing, the constant level of chatter would have ensured that it wasn't a quiet night. It looks so pretty. With the party now in full swing, your options had increased. You watch the band perform. We're not gonna ask him just yet. You and Cove found a spot to the side of the simple stage that had been set up for the soiree, where you were tucked out of the way of the dance floor while still enjoying an excellent view of the band. You've gotten in time to watch them from the start of the song, their expressions solemn as they tease notes from their strings of their instruments. Cove was in a trance, nodding his head along with the music. Catching you watching him, he smiled sheepishly. Cool. You enjoyed the music too. It's great. Think they do requests? You envied their musicians' abilities. It was impressive the way a twist of a wrist could so drastically change the notes that sang out. You had no idea how to play an instrument. The band had begun to play their next song. Cove was enraptured once more, his head tilted curiously as he watched the musicians wield their instruments. During a particularly beautiful solo, he even closed his eyes, focusing on nothing but the music. After a couple of songs, it was decided that you'd watched the band enough. Ants. Oh, time to dance. I'd like to dance with you. I'd like to dance with you, if that's okay. Can I have the pleasure of your company on the dance floor? So would you like to dance? Maybe? Shoot. That sounds so sophisticated of me. Save. We're going to save. Yes. Have the pleasure of your company on the dance floor? Really? Oh, gosh. He just shouted. He blurted out the word without thinking. Then clapped the hand over his mouth before anything else could slip out. Of course, really. That's why I invited you to dance. Cove sucked in a deep breath as if trying to inhale confidence as well as oxygen into his lungs. He gave a single serious nod before holding out a trembling hand towards you. There's no way I'm confident. This is the boy I like. I'm nervous. Oh. You felt nervous right along with him. Taking a steadying breath, you reminded yourself that nothing here could hurt you. Physically, at any rate. Just trying to thought was leading you down the tunnels of potential embarrassment, so you tried to keep your mind on the moment. You took Cove's outstretched hand. His skin was hot and damp. Yours was probably no better. You squeezed it, giving him an empathetic smile. And the two of you carefully made your way to the dance floor. You took your places standing before each other, hands still entwined. Frowning, Cove assessed the situation, trying to puzzle it out like a math problem, before putting his remaining free hand on your shoulder. No, we're not gonna do that. If that's where he wants to put his hand, we're gonna let him put his hand there. You're happy with that. Cove was comfortable with this dance, and the arrangement was good for you too. You were eye to eye with him now. At this distance, there were little else to look at other than those aquamarine irises. The music had begun, and you moved eagerly, trying to catch up to it. Your feet took you in opposite directions. Fumbling, the two of you shuffled from side to side, attempting to mirror each other's movement, but always winding up at odds. It was difficult. Cole was struggling just coordinating his own limbs to the rhythm, let alone matching your movements. When Cove's foot ghosted over yours, it was decided it'd be safest for everyone if you simply swayed to the tune. You rooted yourself on the floor, your torso gently moving to the sounds. Carefully, Cove kept his movements small and subtle. Can we just say subtle in the same way? All was fine for a while. You weren't going to win any dancing accolades with Cove. But that didn't matter when you were just but that didn't matter when you were treasuring just being close to him. Cove stepped out of sync with the music, knocking against you. He flinched back, nearly pulling you over in the process. You took a hand from him and held it up, halting the proceedings so that you could both get your bearings once more. It's okay. Dancing is harder than I thought. Instead of feeling better of the mutual struggle, Cove looked off. Yeah. Then you took Cove's hand once more and gingerly reassumed swaying to the music. Cove reluctantly followed suit. His steps small and apprehensive. He mumbled something quietly. It's a long song. You weren't sure how to take that, whether it meant that something was wrong, or if Cove didn't really like dancing, or if he didn't like dancing with you specifically. It made the last couple of minutes of the song uncomfortable as you weighed up what to do and what to say to Cove. When the musicians laid their instruments down, Cove dropped your hands if they were burning him, and trailed off the dance floor as quickly as he could without breaking into an outright run. In truth, you bet even... In truth, you bet even fast... Even... In truth, you'd bet even that was faster than most people here could manage. You had difficulty tailing him before he could get lost in the crowd. When you caught up, he said nothing. You tried to get him into doing something else, but eliciting anything from him now was now impossible. He focused over Cove, wondering how he was finding the evening. He sighed. It was so quiet and unobstructive that you wouldn't have caught it if you hadn't been watching him. His gaze was roaming, but how far away his eyes seemed. He was searching for something that couldn't be found at this party. He turned to face you before you could say anything. I want to sit down. We can do that. Cove began to move and you instantly followed him. Yet instead of taking a seat by the many free tables you expected, Cove ignored them as he purposely strode out of the party area. Cove, there's seats right over here. Your call didn't seem to register with him as he continued forward, out into the greens of the golf course. You went after him, trying to watch out for the uneven ground underfoot. The clods of earth dislodging in games of golf were perfect for snatching unwary feet in daylight. Up ahead, Cove didn't appear to have any difficulty traversing the uneven land. He settled down on the hill of the golf course. You joined him, still unsure over what was going on. You didn't say, what's wrong? Cove started as if he'd acted on instinct, and your question had brought him to reality again.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. And it's okay. You can go back to the party. You didn't budge from your spot. From here, the party was just a glowing haze in the distance. You didn't want to leave him behind. You were glad to take a break. You didn't want to leave him behind. No soldier left behind, Cove. We're not soldiers. I'm sticking with you. Oh. Thanks. Now that Cove was more at ease, you tried to find out what it caused him to take flight in the first place. Even thinking the words pained you, but you had to know the answer. Did going to the party with me make you uncomfortable? Logically, you knew that the issue was likely the activity rather than your company. Your heart strained with the worry that you had been at fault, though. Was it because I made you dance? This abrupt departure from what was another indicator that something bad had gone eerie.
What?
No! He shook his head empathetically. He shook his head empathetically. I think that's what that is. I don't wanna you know what? shook his head. He just shook his head. It's not anything I did tonight. It's definitely not anything you did either. Relief overcame you. You suspected as much, but with this being your very first date, it was hard to be sure. Cove attempted to fill in the gaps of understanding. I don't want to think about going back to the party. I just feel ready to go home. I'm sorry you're not having fun anymore. Cove stared off, his words felt just as distant. It's okay. Cove sat there quietly, gazing out into the shadowy hills and valleys of the golf course. An uncomfortably warm wind rustled between you, tousling its hair. It was so far away from the hubbub of the party, you could even make out the quiet sound of crickets chirping. This is kind of like how we first met. Do you remember? Of course I do. You liked him from that very first day. It's so weird. That was a long time ago now. You thought back to the day when Cove first arrived in the neighborhood. He had run away from Mr. Holden, taking some solace in the hills behind your house. That had been late too, on a clear night like today. Looking at the sky, you wondered if the stars that were looking down were the same ones as then. Cove's face was brighter, though you could see the signs of the strain had caused him to depart from the soiree. When he first sat down, he had curled up like a pill bug, hunched over, knees pressed to his chest, and arms wrapped around them. He unbound as he'd been talking, straightening up, his hands free to gesticulate. It was as though the two of you had constructed your own little world away from everything else, and he was beginning to perk up. A small smile had crept into his face, was quickly ushered away by a frown. I can't believe I'm on a date. Bill followed up with the statement before you could react. He spoke in a distinctly whispered tone, as though you were the only one in the world who would share this word with. After I said I wanted to come, I wanted to take it back. Not because I really didn't want to do it, because I don't know. It seemed like a big deal. It made me feel bad somehow. I started feeling like I couldn't do it, even though I just wanted to do it. I guess it was sort of like having to give a presentation in front of the class, even though it was just me and you doing something, like we always do. He charged on with his words streaming out. I still could do it because thinking about it not being there. I still could do it because thinking about not being there and you, not being there and you and what you might think if I did take it back made me feel way worse than whatever else I felt.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Irene. I'm sorry I can't deal with stuff like this and have to make everything so complicated. You don't need to apologize. You sadly hung your head. I'm sorry sorry it made you feel bad. I don't want you to be here if you don't want to be here. You smiled. You didn't have to come. You could have told me. You don't need to apologize. I always make you feel secure to lean against Cove. Having him support you in the most literal, in the most literal of senses. Maybe he felt the same way. He finally moved his head back to look at you. Look at you straight on, eyes meeting yours.
Irene.
Thanks for inviting me, Irene. He stared back at him, not comprehending. But didn't it make you feel bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. When I had to think about how I was actually doing it, but getting to hear that you wanted me to come made me feel good. You flushed and had to break the fragile eye contact.
But
I mean, I want to keep doing things with you, no matter what, even if I feel weird sometimes. I don't want to stop being there, and I don't want you to stop wanting me there. Cause when I do whatever it is for real, and you're with me, it all feels better in the end. It always does. Cove stood up without a warning, support gone, and you threw out an arm to catch yourself from toppling over. At that point, you didn't have much of a choice but to join him on your feet. You tilted your head in an unspoken question. Cove smiled awkwardly, brushing some grass off the side. Just a second, guys. Okay, I am back. Okay. Cove smiled awkwardly, brushing some grass off the side of his pants.
Wanna dance with me?
Wanna dance with me? We already did. You were there. I know, but it's a dance party, right? And I think he trailed off, brow furrowed as if he was trying to figure out the answer himself, nodding slowly as he continued. I think I want to dance with you again before it's over. With only the words with With the only words he had to explain gone, he just held up his hand to you. His expression was soft. I want to dance with you too. You reached for his hand and took it in yours. You returned hand in hand with the party reaching the end of a long evening. Dancing couples had become scarce. One pair among the many were hard to notice. One pair among the many were hard to notice, but now the space around you would act as a spotlight. Not that there were many left to watch you. He was still at ease, even buoyed, even buoyed by the dissipated crowd. This time, there was a spring in his step as you walked into the dance floor together. Cove kept hold of the hand you had given him back on the hill, and he rested the other on your shoulder. Cove hesitated while you waited for a sign, with the song in process before you stepped out to dance. There was no signal for the right moment to begin. The same thought occurred to Cove, who struggled his shoulders with keeping form. Taking that as your starting point, he cautiously began to sway. Cove readily followed your example. You danced wordlessly, dimly aware of the music guiding you. You were more focused. You were more focused on Cove, whose attention firmly fasted on you. Unlike before, he had nervously looked down at his feet. Unlike before, when he had nervously looked down at his feet, as if trying to keep them in check, his eyes were steady. He didn't even allow himself to be shaken when your knees locked against each other, and you both briefly fumbled in your steps. Instead, he chuckled, and it was soft as the roll of the morning tide. His lips curved into a shy crescent. You had been drifting into a dreamlike state, but with that expression, that one you had never seen before, pinning you back to reality. Your heart was caught up in a clinch. Held tight and yet straining with the effort of thumping harder than it had after any amount of physical exertion. As if in response, his hand began to hold yours with increased strength. He pulled you ever so slightly more towards him. Thoughts about what it meant, or what might happen when it was over. Just a second. Okay. Thoughts about what it meant or what might happen when it was over erased. And the both of you were able to simply have this dance. Time fell away as you looked in the small moment. All too soon the song reached its conclusion. You could have continued quite contentedly for some time more. You stilled one hand of yours in his. Cove showed no sign of moving. Either. It was hard to let go. You heard your name called out, and that brought the dance truly to an end. You both spun to find Mom yelling for you in Cove. Mom beside her. Mom was shaking her head.
Sorry.
It's time to go home. Lonnie and I had to get a... It's time to go home. Lonnie, I had to get a hold of them somehow. What do you want me to do? Sneak up on them? Her chosen method, admittedly, was better than that. You still winced at how dazed you'd been when she announced her arrival. He looked so embarrassed that you seriously worried about him fleeing again. This time, you didn't think he'd what? This time you didn't think he'd stop until he was out of the grounds. Despite Cove's reaction to the scene with your mom, it had been a perfect ending to the evening. You were so glad you got a chance to dance with Cove once more before the night was over. And it definitely was over now. You didn't need to say anything to Cove. The two of you marched wordlessly over to your parents, who were still bickering playfully. Standing shoulder to shoulder, your parents surveyed you and Cove and wondered if they were checking that they were returning to Mr. Holden's son in the same state that he had left the house. It was quite the night, huh, gang? Wasn't it? Cove managed a self-conscious smile. Yeah. Mom was smiling too, with an expression so soft it could have cradled a newborn chick.
Well,
And how was your very first date? Mom, please, please don't start on them already. It technically hasn't even ended yet. Fine. Good. Well, we better ready yourselves to get back to Elizabeth. If we're lucky, the house might still be standing. Oh, shush. She swatted your mom playfully, laughing at the comment. You cast one last look at the party. You saw people exchanging farewells and suppressing yawns. Most of the faces were happy ones, despite the weariness that had been starting to creep in. Cove's head was angled away from you as he watched, wondering what he was looking at. He came around and met your gaze. It was strange, though it had only been a few hours of your life. You felt a little older as a result of attending the party. It was like a step away from the world of your childhood, where dressing up is reserved almost exclusively as a form of play, towards something new that you hadn't quite grasped. Turning away from the final moments of the party, you shelved that thought for another time as your mom eagerly led the way back to the car. As you and Cove tailed after them, you felt childlike once more. And And that was it. We're gonna do... Is that it? Oh! Oh, Derek. I see now, Derek. These are... Interesting. Okay, so once you get the Derek DLCs, you get a little bit of the same, kind of like how Cove's, but it's different for Derek. Okay, interesting. I was confused on what this era was about. And then summer ended. Yep. There was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow, you were heading to class. Honestly, I feel like my feelings were muddled. There were prospects of school that you missed, and others that you would happily live without. If only you could pick a mix. If only you could pick a mix between the bits of summer and school. You got dressed, advising the day before you, but contemplating what lay ahead of you tomorrow. Life was going to be different. You had come to think of the summer vacation as the norm, but school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just respite in the middle. So rather than it being different, it was kind of a return to the normal ? What did your normal life really mean? You consider how fondly your moms talked about the summer vacations as a kid. You dimly recognized that one year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You had gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back on track of the present. The season had brought plenty of changes of its own, like Kyra's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. You become extremely fond of her. The neighborhood was about to feel a lot emptier. You finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be here any moment. You agreed to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you round to his house when she was ready to set off. But you both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change, thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people, in quotation marks. But once he was able to adjust, he'd been pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. You turned to your desk where the box containing your accessories resided. A thought recited you like a bolt, and your eyes bore into the box. Should you wear an anklet for Cove's visit today? You had some nice ones that you hadn't used in a while. You decided to wear several anklets. You put one anklet on. You decided to wear several. Then you put one anklet on. Your heart pounded as you slipped on the hoop. You slipped the hoop through the clasp and fastened it in place. Would Cove spot it? Your face grew hot as you imagined how he would react. The next thought crossed your mind was, you couldn't wait to see Cove. You went downstairs to meet him when he arrived. It would be only polite to get the door for Cove. You went downstairs to wait. This option. You basically ran down the stairs, your hand gliding over the rail. You wanted to make sure you got there first. If you didn't hurry, your mom's might answer it. It was only a few minutes later when the doorbell rang. As you choose to stand beside it to wait for Cove, there was no delay in pulling it open. Cove was here, just as you expected. Seeing you, he flashed you a bright grin. Hi, Irene. It took you long enough. Took you long enough. You only live across the street. You stuck your tongue out at him as you ushered him inside. And then bustled him up the stairs. Back in your room, you sat down on your bed and waited for Cove to settle in, as you knew he would. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was familiar to him as his own. You watched Cove sit down at your desk, his preferred spot, and rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angles so that he was facing you fully. Once happy with the position, he leaned towards you, his hands in his lap. His actions weren't the ones of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When is your mom leaving?
Don't worry about it.
We've got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to just keep hanging around while she was doing that. He lifted his head, gaze drifting out through the window, and chuckled. I can't believe she's already leaving when I'm getting used to her being there every day. He leaned back in the chair, a weary smile tickling his cheeks. Yeah, you nodded. She'll be back. She'll be back. He cocked his head thoughtfully before shrugging. He ran a hand through his hair, shaking his head as if shaking the topic like a dog wiping off water following a dip in the sea. Cove looked back to you, his lip parted as if he was about to speak, but instead his eyes widened and his mouth closed into a tiny frown. Something had caught his attention. Something around the end of your leg, where the end of your leg met your foot. He cast his eyes back to your face, then down to your ankle, then back to your face. He repeated the process once or twice more, as if struggling to hold the two items in tandem. Maybe he was weighing up that this could be a coincidence or not. Or maybe he was too shy to verbalize his thoughts. Or was still trying to find the words, and that this was the most he could manage. The attention made you feel regretful, pleased, thrilled, amused, bashful. I'm glad he noticed it. I think we feel pleased because we specifically did that. Pleased. The whole plan was for him to see you in it, and you succeeded. While his attention was divided between you and your ankle, your face was in your face, it was totally on you. On his next glance back up to your face, Cove saw your expression had shifted. You watched as his bewilderment eroded into mortification as he realized that you had been caught staring. He quickly spun in the chair to face the wall, allowing you to glimpse the flush that had spread all the way to his ears. He twisted in his seat, wiggling his hands and determinedly avoiding looking in your direction again. It seems that he decided against saying anything at all. What's the problem, Cove? Cove mumbled something unintelligible as he slumped over. With how hunched over he was, the quiet words had no chance of reaching you. You weren't gonna get anything out of him in this state. You waited for him to come around before speaking again. Finally, he piped up very softly. Did you do it because of what I said before? I mean, you know. Let's run it back. Run it back. Does it look good? Okay. So same. Did you do it because of what I said before? I mean, you know. The last few words were whispered as if they were a precious secret. The ankle bracelet. Maybe. No. I don't know what you're talking about. You shrugged. Yes. No, maybe. We're gonna say, you know what, we're gonna be honest. Yes. His eyes squeezed shut. You had no intent if the answer had made him feel better or more nervous. Eventually, he looked down at his lap, where his fingers were flexing and curling in an awkward dance of nerves. His chest rose as he breathed deep. Well, it looks good on you. Your heart skittered in your chest like a stone skipping across water. One big leap from the unexpected compliment, followed by a series of shorter ones as you absorbed the words. You beamed at him. He was looking at you at last and returned the smile shyly. This really couldn't have worked out better, you thought. And there was nothing else he could add after that. Cove's posture tilted, his eyelids blinking quickly. Irene, I actually wanted to talk about... Took a deep breath before concluding the sentence.
I mean...
What happened on the trip? His voice shook as he pushed the words out. Your eyes grew at the reaction. Cove pulled his arms around his chest, his shoulders hunching inwards. You knew what he was implying. Back when you'd been in the loft and nearly kissed. Cove hadn't breathed a word about it since it happened. Or, well, almost happened.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for moving away like that when you tried to. He dropped the sentence. You didn't push for him to finish. It had conveyed what it needed. And I'm sorry for how I've been since, acting like it didn't happen. I thought about it. I mean, I haven't forgot about it. I don't keep thinking about it all the time. He hung his head, red cheeked, forearm propped up by a couple of fingers. You can tell that he was already regretting how this was going.
Sorry.
sorry for being weird. It's just... I thought, or hoped, that sometime I'd be able to do this with me talking about everything. Everything? There's more? He nodded ever so slightly. Your face felt a lot hotter at that. Cove beamed at your little positive reaction, and his explanation continued. Well, sort of picture how it might go. What it'd be like with you and me. But the first part, I never imagined anything that'd come after. And now it's actually happened. We're here. He took another breath, stuttering on the exhale. This makes things different. Sorry for me. Should we find a crystal ball for answers? Things don't have to be different. He gave you a warm smile. Thanks, but I don't think that'll work. You can't just forget. I definitely can't. His eyes wide met yours as he looked at you. Less burdened from the anxiety that had built inside him. Do you want to try again? No! The words shot out reflectively. He couldn't help it, but immediately cringed at himself. Oof. Okay, let's not do that. He smiled reassuringly. You watched as Cove drew himself, his fingers curling, and it was as if he was pulling every drop of courage from his body. Oh, he asked. Oh, shit. I think I asked before, but I didn't know he was actually going to ask. Okay. Do you wanna try again? I can do it this time. I want to do it. Your heart leapt. Your mind took longer to catch up. To process the meaning behind those words. It was okay. He wanted to kiss you. You kissed him. You were scared, but you kissed him. You kissed him. Yeah, fuck it. You kissed him. You untangled yourself from your resting position and stood up, realizing your attempt to actually go for it. Cove straightened up in his chair, his hands coiled together in his lap. As you moved towards him, you noticed his knees knocking together as he trembled. His decision not to rise from the chair made perfect sense. Actually, Actually, I feel like we're more scared. I'm just picking like the best options. There you go. I mean, it's the same thing, but made perfect sense. If he was that shaky while sitting down, there was no way he'd imagine to stand without at least one of you falling over. Your legs brushed against his quivering ones as you came to a stop in front of him. Cove was staring up at you as you leaned in towards him. He echoed the motion and drew in towards you. Once you were close enough to feel Cove's breath on your face, you closed your eyes. The last thing you saw was Cove quickly doing the same. Your lips met Cove for a moment. His lips were pressed tightly together, unyielding, but it was alright. You were kissing him, and he was kissing you. Your stomach somersaulted. You couldn't believe it was actually happening. In that moment, it felt warm, and it felt nice, and it felt right. You drew back and Cove slipped down into the chair. The knuckles of his hands pale from gripping so tightly. Thinking that he could do with some space to breathe, figuratively and literally, you took a step back. Cove shot up, his stance rigid. Cove plastered a hand over his mouth, his eyes shut tight. His back then became bowed, shrinking him down. His back then became bowed, shrinking him down. You could only make out the few words he had managed to summon. Oh my god, oh my god. I can't believe we actually... His eyes flew open wide, but he didn't look your way, let alone meet your gaze.
Oh my god.
We kissed. We kissed. His reaction was really cute. You're full of nerves. I worried you that I feel like you're both full of nerves. Blinking, you tried to process what had happened. You laid a hand on your cheek, half wondering about pinching yourself. About pinching yourself to check this wasn't a dream. You found your skin as hot as a car door at noon on a summer's day. Cove slammed his eyes closed once again. Save. We're gonna save over. Yes. Did I do something wrong? You're still holding your hand to his face in an attempt to answer. Emitted muffled. Was emitted a muffled whimper. With that obviously not working, he uncovered his face at last, bringing the hand to lay against his cheek as he looked at you. No. He opened his mouth, poised to speak. His lips. His lips as words failed him. On his third or fourth attempt, you heard what he had to say. did like it. I'm glad that we, you know, we swallowed seeming not being able to speak the actual word. That we what? You know! I have no idea. Irene! Your anxiety knowing that the experience had been a welcome one. The smile on Cole's face was real, but weary. Not unlike the one he wore after a long, exhausting day of activity. Like when he had made a new personal best. The work had been hard, but the reward had been worth it. With some newfound confidence, he drew himself up as he inhaled deeply. Each word he spoke next was delicate. Irene, I like you. I like you. A lot. Probably way too much. He ducked his head bashfully and opened an eye, peeking at you through the hair that had fallen over his face like a veil. He managed to smile.
Thanks for waiting for me.
Thanks. Oh my god. I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Thanks for waiting for me.
Thanks for waiting for me. His eyes sparkled just looking at you. His affection transparently clear. He could never hide what he was feeling, and you couldn't be more grateful for that today. I like you even more. Hope squeaked out a nervous giggle, and he curled his hand into a loose fist and brushed the knuckles idly against his cheek. Words evaded him as he opened his mouth and closed it again. I don't... He gave up on finishing the sentence, instead just smiling again. He rubbed his eyes with the heel of his hand. It was an action usually reserved for eyes with the heels of his hand. It was an action usually reserved for much later in the day, but at this point it already felt like a long day. Then Cove pressed a hand to his creased forehead.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Does this mean I'm your boyfriend or something now? Should we tell our parents? I don't know what my dad or mom would do. There are a lot of concerns in there. You honed in on the simplest. There was no way your mom would let you have a boyfriend, even though the word juxtapose, just something, with Cove's name juxtaposed with Cove's name made your heart race. I want you to be at least something, but I probably can't. I wish we were older. It's not fair. It's okay. You didn't know what to say. It doesn't matter though. We like each other and that's what's important. Nobody else thought about your relationship changed, and that was between the two of you. Cove lifted his hand from his chest and reached towards you, halting halfway, then slowly, cautiously, hooked his fingers around yours. his palm pressed against the back of your hand. You held his hand back, obviously. You rotated your hand so that you were palm to palm with Cove, your thumbs crossing one another. We can get it to work. We always figure things out. Sooner or later. You were temporarily struck speechless. Your usual directness punctured by his honest, brief belief in what you had together. Yeah, you're right. You are a pretty good team. Chuckling, Cove smiled at you and tightened his grip on your hands. Irene! Cove! Sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware, and you nearly forgotten about the world outside your room. From the guilty look at his face, Cove had done the same. We just had a call. Cove's mom is ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep that mandated motherly soothing to a minimum. You doubt that, but it was nice that moms and Miss Priest had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove wordlessly as you headed downstairs together. Each step of the way was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. His whole body tensed leaving the house. Cove froze altogether before you both could cross the street.
Oh.
The door is open. Dad must be taking her stuff out. He swallowed hard. He's really gonna leave. You smiled at him reassuringly. You weren't for sure what to say or how else to react other than being there to support him. Cove's bottom lip quivered and he turned away. Thanks. At that, some of the conflict wearing on his face eased a bit. Together you went across the street and inside the house. Finding his parents in the living room surrounded by his mother's packed things. Hey kids. Good timing. I just called the taxi.
Hi.
And hi Irene. So glad I get to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got to put a face to the name I've heard so many times. She winked and Cove pouted onto you over the teasing. I'm really happy I got to meet you too. Hopefully it won't be too long before we see each other again. Nodding, Kyra turned her attention back to the boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free of her grip, but his mom was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back tightly.
I'm so glad.
I'm so glad this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was busting with pride. And then Cove stiffened. Kyra loosened her hold on him enough to steady his face, concerned. She spoke her next words in a whisper that had been meant just for her
What do you
son.
think?
Do you want to unshelve it? Raising an eyebrow, Cliff watched him carefully. His smile began to falter. What's wrong? Cove gazed much before, and he looked like he was grappling with where to begin. But the Cliff smacked a hand to his own cheek. The noise caught everyone's attention. Cliff's eyes were wide, and you could clearly see the light bulb moment he was experiencing on his face. It shouldn't have been a surprise. I went behind your back again. Yeah. And it only took me until the last moment to realize it. Crossing his arms, Cliff laughed at himself. You could tell it was out of frustration and disbelief rather than the usual good-natured feelings. I'm so sorry. I really thought I had gotten better at this. You have. Cove's voice was small, but it was enough to break through his dad's thoughts. Cliff mouthed into a small smile.
It's okay.
It's been a long time since something like this happened. Not long enough. You deserve better than a blockhead. Better than a blockhead falling back into old habits just because things seem to be doing good.
I'm trying.
It won't keep happening. I promise. I'll work on it. Well, we all can work on it. I can try harder myself to be in the loop on what's actually happening over here. A happy smile spread across Cove's face, and he answered, delicately. Okay. You felt relieved seeing how much the whole family had grown together since you first met them. They could talk to each other more easily now. After that, it wasn't long until the taxi arrived, rolling up in front of the house in a clear view of the open door. Kara stood up, smiling sadly. Well, that's my ride. Yeah. The matching reply got a chuckle out of Kara's as you filled out all the house. As you filed out of the house. Ugh. Father and son went with Kara's bags in hand. Oof. Outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and you're surprised Derek was also with them. He stood uncomfortably and waved as soon as you noticed him.
What's up?
Hey, Irene. Hi, Cove. When did you get here? My dad dropped me off a little while ago. I thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
Picked a super busy time. Sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. He nervously kept rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I wasn't even thinking that your mom would be leaving today. I'm sorry, dude. What? You're not interrupting or anything. You're always welcome here. It would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. I think so too. It was apparent that Derek would have preferred to have gotten there in a more opportune moment. He never liked seeing it impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened, and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Bye, ma'am. Is there anything I can do to help? Nah, don't worry yourself over that. We're just about set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Kara took one last look at everyone inside. Alright, I don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their chorus of farewells and well wishes traveling, but Kara still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. I'll call when I get to the airport and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you better call the moment you walk in the door at home. Otherwise, I'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there. I can do that. And could you call tomorrow too, so I can tell you how school went? Of course. I want to hear all about it. Scara put a hand on Cove's head affectionately and ruffled his hair one last time. Then she let go, only to move into squeezing his cheek with her hand instead. Mom!
Cove.
I love you so much, my baby. She was chuckling by the time she freed him and rounded things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked to the car while leaving and took her seat in a taxi. Cliff hooked the arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad and then wrapped an arm across his back. Bye, Mom! Bye! Safe travels! Tara rolled down the window and stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. See you again! Before she was out of sight, you decided to call out with your family and hers. As you added your voice to the others, you watched Kara's smile grow larger. The cab turned down another road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let his dad go and took a few steps into the empty street, looking in the direction his mom went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought, and you got the impression Cove was feeling better than he did earlier. He was finally content with the way things were. The summer breeze brought a sweet-sounding jingle across the way. It was a wind chime you given Cove. He had hung it up in front of his house, and it had become a very familiar sound in his neighborhood. You jumped a bit when your mom put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. You smiled when you looked at her. This was a great vacation, huh? Yeah. That's what I was hoping to hear. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him welcomingly. and everyone else there smiled at him, even Elizabeth. Well? Mom clasped her hands together, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan, and Mom smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That would be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I could do? Your mom exchanged a fond expression and shook her head. That's very sweet, Derek, but it's alright. It's not your job. Technically, your dad left you under Cliff's watch. You're meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Your mom laughed a little at her own joke. You watched Derek look away discouraged. It's okay. I don't mind. He was a little bashful about it, and you wondered if Mom's joke reminded him that he was initially it wasn't initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. Mom grinned sympathetically. Her comment was meant to lighten the mood, not bring it back down. Mom tried again to get things moving forward. Why don't you kids go have fun? You all can come back in an hour. We'll make enough for everyone. Mom nodded in agreement.
Sounds good.
Another stunning idea, Lonnie. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That sounded like a plan. I don't want to cramp your style. I've got some stuff to work on, so I'll be out of your hair for this afternoon. You should come by later, too. No reason you should be the odd man out. Mom seemed to be amused as Cliff rubbed his cheek, rubbed his neck nervously. He grinned, wavering, but pleased smile.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate the invite. Mom looked over the assembled crowd, assembled crowd with knowing glances. I can help too. With as many people you're feeding, it's gotta be a lot of food. Excuse me.
Come on.
True.
If you're sure, we'll be happy to have you, Cliff. Chef Cliff. Now he just needs a little rat on his head to tell him what to do.
Alright.
I'll stay with the kids.
That's fantastic.
That's great. Both their moms smothered her, while Derek and Cove didn't seem to appreciate her phrasing. But the plan was decided, all three parents waved and headed for your house. It was just you teenagers now. Elizabeth looked at you and the others with a curious expression on her face. So, what now? You suddenly wonder if Elizabeth only stayed out with you to avoid getting roped into work. Then again, she could just genuinely want to hang out. You couldn't tell with your sister. Cove spoke up after no one else did to answer Elizabeth's question. Wanna go down to the shopping street? It's been a while, and I don't think there's a lot of other things we could agree on. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome to me. Unlike you guys, I haven't been there in 1,001 times. It's new to me. Let's go. So they go down to the shopping street.
Maybe?
Well,
What?
Oh. Well, I don't know. Possibility, you know? Well, there's gotta be something. We know cool stuff. I'm sure if we think about it, we could plan a show that'll really get a crowd pumped. That was a great idea. Oh yeah, we totally should. Woo!
Nice.
I knew I could count on you. Now we just need the act. It'll come to us. Right. With some amusement, the gang continued to pursue the stalls. Elizabeth found some earrings.
Nice.
Okay, cool. No, it's Australia. The other three giggled at you at your interjection. Suddenly Cove froze and you stared at him and tried to see what caused his attention. You saw a familiar face down the way. It all made sense. Between the crowds and his bright hair stood out like a neon green bowl in a kitchen sink. It was Jeremy. Jeremy slowly just down the street, his eyes widened in mutual recognition. He definitely noticed you. Derek frowned and Cove tensed up. You couldn't help but remember the last time you seen Jeremy at Miranda's party. No wonder Cove was already defensive. You glared. You glared at Jeremy. You narrowed your eyes and projected your dislike. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. Her gaze swept over Jeremy with the hint of a clue. Jeremy simply scoffed and scoffed to himself and waddled deeper into the crowd of people. Derek laughed, exhaling and exhaled loudly. I'm glad he's not gonna start anything. He peeked over at Elizabeth with a tiny smirk. See? That was the mean kid.
What?
Huh? You still didn't get it. The first summer day hadn't nearly as much of an impression on her as it did for Derek. But she smiled and waved it off. Just forget him. I already have. He laughed and Cove smiled lightly. He seemed in a much better mood now that Jeremy was gone. Your eyes wandered over where Jeremy disappeared. You haven't forgotten the day you met him either. He was going to be in town for a vacation with his parents he hated. Like this was probably the last time you would ever see him. Should we apologize for punching it? Nah. See a bowl cut. I bet he's going to get out of here since summer's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we don't have to worry about that guy anymore. Derek kicked a little rock in the road. It clattered against a kind of and then rolled under a stall. But I think it's kind of sad. What was that? But I still think it's kind of sad that Jeremy turned out to be, well, like he is. It would have been nice to make another friend. Cove shook his head. He was clearly not broken over what it might have been. Good riddance. Happy it's over. Good riddance. Elizabeth rolled her eyes at the strange farewell to the odd boy, and not interested in the slightest. She clearly didn't understand his impact at this point, and didn't want to understand.
Okay.
Let's go then. He looked at him appraisingly. Yes, go to carry you back to the house. Hey, Cove. Yeah? Carry me home. What? He goes turned red, obviously he's placed there. You keep saying that you wanted a piggyback, right? You figure right. You're the only one big enough to give me one. Cove sighed and shook his head. Elizabeth became a chorus of laughter. Pretty please? You jokingly pleaded with him, much to the continued amusement of the other two. Alright. Cove stepped over to you. You looked like you couldn't believe what he was doing. Your lips cracked into a large smile. Woo! I knew you would come through for me. He carefully crouched down in front of you so that you could climb on. It wasn't hard to hop on. He slipped his arms under your leg as he did his best to lift you. As he did his best to lift you. It was wobbly, but he managed to stand all the way up. Speaking in tongues. Speaking in an ancient language. Elizabeth watched with a smirk on her face while Derek laughed even harder. It was fair to say that your antics were entertaining. You were glad Cove went with it. Cove carried you home, but he seemed pretty bashful about the situation. He struggled with how much of a grip around you and whether or not he should try to reposition things. But along with that, he also seemed to feel some pride to be carrying you. It was a pleasant walk home, and in no time you made it back. Derek got in front of the door and held it open for everyone as you moseyed inside. The three parents were still in the kitchen as they looked up and waved. Welcome back, everyone. Made it just in time. I hope you're hungry. When Cove brought you inside, the parents couldn't help but notice the odd conveyance. Your moms were unsure. Mr. Holden raised an eyebrow.
Okay.
Did you pull something, Arian? I'm okay. Aw, Cove, you've gotten so strong. And reliable too. What a guy. Cove rolled his eyes at the commentary and then started walking over to your couch. He bent down and let yourself plop back onto the couch. And you let yourself plop back onto the couch. Thanks, Cove. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Cove exhaled loudly and shook his arms. He just seemed to be relieved that he made it. So did everyone have a nice time out? He gestured for the people to take a seat at the table. Plates and silverware had already been placed out. So we're all gonna eat. Yeah, the bank heist went off without a hitch. Your joke got some chuckles going around the table. That's good in my book. You passed Cove his drink. Your hands touched. Cove froze. You had already let go. You had already let go, not yet realizing that he was too distracted to function in that moment. The glass fell down the table, and it was a sharp clatter of glass on wood. Cove scooted his chair back with a restrained shout. Sorry, I'll just get a towel or something. He looked around in a frantic panic, as if an object to soak up the water would magically appear. His dad bit his lip in worry, rising from his seat. Well, what's going on? You've been a little out of it today. Did something happen? Cove tensed and froze again. He stared at the water on the table as if he wanted to sink into it. You spoke up the cover, Cove. If something did happen, you should wait for Cove to want to talk about it. Trying to make him say things in front of everybody wouldn't be good. Mr. Holden nodded slowly. He seemed worried, but after a look at Cove, he smiled sympathetic. Right. Well said, Irene. I'm here when you're ready, son. Of course. Cove raised a sigh of relief and shot you an apologetic look. You gave him an exaggerated wink when heads were turned away from you. As everything got set up, Mom basically was like, get your elbows off the table.
Now.
And you shouldn't slouch. She pointed to Mr. Holden, who was leaning forward with both arms on the table. Oops. Mom is getting at everybody. You shouldn't be polite to the guests in the house either. Elizabeth groaned.
Not bad.
A lot of you could learn a thing or two from Derek. He has the best manners here.
Aw. There.
You joked that Derek was practically an adult. Maybe next time Derek is going to stay inside to cook. He's practically a mini adult. If he's joining us grown-ups, then you're gonna have to treat him like one. Okay. So, Mr. Sawyer, how go your taxes? Derek shook his head and chuckled. Everyone ate their meal together. How go your taxes? The time passed quickly. I have stuff to do for...
Okay.
Yeah, bye. Could you move? I need the phone.
Talk to you later.
See you later, Cove. Gotta do this again sometime. Yeah, see ya. Cove gestured to you and smiled. Bye, Irene. Of course, we're gonna hug. Are you serial? We're gonna hug. If any chance to hug Cove, we're gonna hug. Cove hugged you back tightly, and his chest just rumbled as he laughed. His cheeks were slightly red, especially when he looked over and noticed that Derek had been watching the whole thing. Derek smiled amusedly.
Dude.
Seriously, dude, we have to hang out later. I'm gonna miss you during school. He offered Cove a high five and the two boys clasped their hands together. Go straight again. There's a cottage stroll. Oh, this is it. Is everything okay? I'm a little sad.
Sucks.
All the different schools. What if we don't have time? We'll make time. I actually want to ask you about something, if you don't mind. There was a pause you waited for him to finish his thought. I was just wondering about, do you like guys at all? Like, would you ever want to be with someone who's a boy? Sorry if that's weird to ask. I can be with a guy. Okay, then. Get to another this question.
So,
Around here? Like, not at school or anything like that? Well, I like Cove. Derek chuckled. He didn't look at all surprised. Yeah, I kinda thought so. That's cool. I really hope things work out. Thanks for answering my random question. He shot you a thumbs up. I hope we'll always be friends, no matter what. Even if we don't get to see each other for a long time, or if we get really busy, I still hope. We're always gonna be friends. Derek smiled mostly to his friends. Mostly to himself. We called Lee, of course.
hey!
Hey! Hi Lee, can you talk? Definitely. We practically have to. Oh my gosh, can you believe it's almost time for school to start?
Bill.
For this party.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. It's funny, I stood up against him. I defended. Well, technically we defended each other.
Really? What?
You what? When? Start at the beginning. Your face really felt like it was burning, and knowing there was not causing those cans of worms. I can't believe you were holding out on me. It's such a juicy story. You have to tell me everything. I'm so happy for you. Ah, that's so funny and really cute. Thanks. It's not like anything really happened then. That's not what counts. Those feelings were there. For a wild ride. The window was super windy. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch, right? That's super cool. It was so fun. Anything to reminisce more about? Oh, soiree. This was my date. No way! You asked him on a date? Like a date? Yeah. Ooh! After laughing a bit, you dove into the towing on the other night, Cove. Was Was that your big highlight this summer? Was that your big highlight this summer, Lee? Talking to you is always the best part of my summer. Come on, tell me. You know what? You don't believe me? Lee. Alright, so the half of the parents meeting rip. You knew word about what happened to Lee, but you didn't bring— oh, before I let you go, there's one other thing. I told Cove I had a crush on him today. With a pause of silence, knowing your cousin needed to pull— you need to pull your ear away from the phone. As expected, a screech was loud enough for you to still make out clearly from a distance, cracked through the speaker. When you felt it was safe, you put the phone against your head, Lee still gushing to herself. You two are the most perfectly pair ever. Tell me, please. Here's the precious time you had left to feel it as soon as you approach your curfew. Bye, Lee. Bye, Irene. Talk to you later. Interesting. You went outside to meet up with him. Obviously, we're gonna go. Door. When you arrived, you realized how many fireflies were out that night. Joe turned towards you as you approach, and you notice right away that Cove looked happy to see you. Hey. You had a bounce in your step. You weren't sure how long you'd get when your mom's roped you back inside her bed. Hey. You're starting off strong. Out late on the very first school night of the year. Seriously, what are you doing here? Nothing. Nothing. Not really. Okay, it's still on. Okay. You should really go to sleep. I know you feel. I know how you feel. It's hard to stay still. Tomorrow's gonna be the start of a new year. He'll let himself fall back into his butt. You sat on his chest. You lay down on the grass yourself. Thank you for telling me about my dad and the money he offered you to be my friend. It's probably the last thing you're expecting out of him. But God seemed to pick on that and stretch his arm out wide in front of him. This is where we met, remember? It happened that day. Kind of a strange feeling, looking at you. Not in a bad way, just thinking about you and seeing you now. It's something. He turned his face away from you. You got the impression he was trying to hide a blush. It was almost unbelievable how much of impact he made on your life just by moving next door. You couldn't even imagine your days might have looked like in a world where you hadn't met him. Cove glanced back Cove glanced back at you, waiting for a response, and you had no idea what to say. Then, without a word, Cove shook his head strongly. What? It's you. Huh? Cove snickered before answering. He looked thoroughly amused by your reaction. This is what you do all the time, so I'm being you. You do that all the time too. So I don't do it that much. You do that all the time too, do I? Yeah. Cove couldn't help but grin at that. Honestly, there weren't many people around who could think of do something like teasy about something like that.
See you tomorrow.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, see you then. Felt excited. Your eyes snapped open. The light clatter continued. Now that you were more alert, you could distinguish it as a tapping sound. Quiet, slow, but persistent. Each beat was like being poked. You could ignore it. You lifted your head from the pillow and looked for the source. Not much work needed to puzzle it out. It was from the window. And from what you knew exactly what it was. From the color of the light filtering in your room, it was too early for anyone to be awake, including the sun. It had barely hauled itself over the horizon, but that didn't stop some people, it seemed. You sat up in bed and opened the window wide. Cool air, not yet warmed by the day, tickled your face as it pushed into your room. Just what you'd expect. There was your neighbor crouching in your windowsill. He was fully dressed, not for school though. He was wearing a wetsuit and a shy smile. Hi, Irene. You stared back, blinking. So, technically, we won't be back at school for a few more hours. His voice was delicate yet deliberate, each word a careful explanation. Classes hadn't actually started yet, so do you want to hit the beach with me one more time this summer? Here we go again! Aw, shit. Here we go again. Cove, you're so cute. Cove, you're so cute. He smiled wide and affectionately. You rushed to get changed into something suitable, while Cove climbed back down to ground level. Oh my gosh. Your limbs, still half asleep, struggled somewhat as you attempted to coordinate them into a swimsuit. But you got there in the end. Soon you were tiptoeing out your front door, clutching a towel. Cove was already there to greet you. Your eyes met. Cove gaze darted in your destination and back to you. You checked the door was closed and gave him a thumbs up, and the two of you leapt into action. Wordlessly, you began to run down the familiar path ahead, Cove beside you. The thrill of your outing made you want to laugh. Not that you dared. If any of you and your family looked out and saw you, then your summer would be back to being over. One glance, Cove told you he was exactly the same, holding back snickers for fear of being heard and caught. It's cute. The in-between. Irene. Okay. We are going to leave everything the same. I'm gonna save. Nope. We're gonna ready. Yes. Let's customize our Cove. We like the long hair Cove. Heck yeah. And these glasses. And then we gave him piercings. Heck yeah. Just a little something. Oh. There's so many different options. I think the black ones match better with this outfit. Next, PJs. The green matches better. And then the blue. Yeah. Oh, It's cute. That definitely matches him a lot more. Done. And we are going to save right there. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. Nope. Menu. Menu. Yes. Okay. Alright. I'm going to call it a day. Like always, this has been Our Life Beginning and Always. I hope you guys enjoyed the DLC content for Step 2. Next stream we'll be doing Step 3. Well, as much as Step 3 as we possibly can. I might have to break it up into 2 parts like I did for Step 2 because it's kind of long. I wasn't expecting Step 2 to be as long as it did, but it was pretty long. And I'm very, very grateful for all the juicy story stuff. Oh, I can't even possibly imagine what Step 3's DLC stuff is gonna be like. So I'm a little excited. Not even a little, I'm really excited. Like always, I hope you guys are having a lovely day or night wherever you guys are in the world. I love you all so much. And I will see you guys next time. Which is probably in a few hours. No promises, but maybe in a few hours. Mwah, kisses. Alright. Alright everyone. Bye!